this as well as streaming this live into the Facebook group. I'm just going to double check so I can be on here with comments and let me. I can't. I have to turn this down. Just going to tag Volashny because I know she was looking for us. Okay. Alexandra, could you just go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to spend probably like just half an hour here having a little bit of a conversation about what you do and bringing that into the work that we're doing here in the Divine Body Lounge as well, looking at our bodies and our food and losing weight and kind of tying things in. But first, could you just give us some background?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me for the interview, and thank you also whoever is watching, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have throughout the workshop. So first we're gonna go through a couple of things, and then in the end I would like to give you a little gift as well, which would be the orgasmic breathing exercise that we will dive into more. So my name is Alexandra Holovitz, and I run a brand called Alexandra Guru, which basically I work with tantric sexuality. I mainly work with men and also couples, but because as well, like I'm a woman and I went through as well like sexual liberation. I'm originally from Hungary, and maybe you know as well, but Hungary is a little bit more traditional, not so open-minded as other cultures around the world. So I had to face a lot of doubt, a lot of questions as growing up, that, you know, putting myself into like, am I this good girl, or am I embracing my sexuality, what I want to do with my life? And slowly but surely, like I went through as well like a lot of transformation, breakthrough. I studied life coaching first, and then hypnotherapy as well, and then after psychosexuality, and then 2 years ago I embarked also on the tantric journey to put it all together. And actually now I'm offering a very holistic way for people to really tap into their own sexual power.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, but a beautiful journey.
Yeah. So, I mean, for anyone, there's probably a real mix of people in this group, or anyone that's watching the video afterwards, that might not even know like what tantra is. Like, are there some basics and foundations you can give to a person that just would have no idea that this might be brand new to them?
Yeah, so basically that I follow neo-tantric practices, which means that it's more utilized for Western world, so it's more practical based. With my teaching, I follow 3 principles: the breath, sound, and movement. And for me, Tantra is a way of tapping into your life force or sexual energy, and being able to arriving back to your body and expanding that sexual energy. Because usually we use the sexual energy for reproduction, but also once you tap into your own sexual energy, you can use it for creation as well. So manifesting things, people into your life, or you can use it for healing as well. So you can heal your body through orgasm.
Amazing. Wow. Like, what kind of things can people heal?
Many things. Like most people, when they first come, they have a deep-rooted shame around sexuality. So many people, when they grow up, you know, they heard the story. If we are talking about female, the biggest is the slut shaming, usually, that they, you know, they call them, if you are tap into self-pleasure or your own sexuality, or you more empowered with yourself as a female, usually you've been told of not to do it or not to show up. And that's why a lot of the females, they are hiding. They want to keep themselves unseen because they don't feel safe to be empowered. The things can be from physical healing into like emotional or energetic healing. So it really depends person to person. There is no, one code fits everyone kind of thing, because we all have our own issues, and depending really the background of the person. When I start working with someone, like I do as well, like an hour or 90 minutes, just really going through their sexual history, the way they grow up, what they've been hearing about sexuality, intimacy, what they've been seeing at home with their parents, what they think about, what is good, what is bad, and all those things. So we can actually get what their limitation about sexuality, because there is a lot of myths going around sexuality that people, like the funniest thing sometimes when people say, oh yeah, so sex is only penetrative sex. So the kissing, the cuddling, the oral sex, or anything before, that doesn't count, basically. So for me, the beginning as well, like I found it really interesting. But then also, as I went towards more the tantric practices, then the tantric practice really more about the sacredness of the sexuality. So then you should use your energy in order to heal your body. So can be as well like your things as well, like healing the body, so within body parts, so or organs, or can be many different things.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. I remember last year I got into a really juicy book that kind of opened me up and helped me understand a little bit more about some of the energetic stuff that you were touching on, about using using pussy energy for manifesting things, using it for making more money, using it for being more creative in my business, like not just about sex in the bedroom with a partner, not even just about pleasuring myself and masturbation, but actually every area of my life being impacted by my sexuality and my sexual energy. And I remember as well in this book, they were even talking about women stopping wars and stopping soldiers just by the power of their yoni, the power of the sacredness of their sexuality. And this was quite a new thing for me last year. And so it's something that I've only just started touching on. So I can totally see like that whole, the spiritual element of it, right? And the spiritual element of using like that power and that energy. But when you take it back to like the most basic stuff, like how does someone even start? So you take like their history and they've got all these beliefs. Like I had loads, like I had loads, and I saw a sex therapist when I was in my early 20s. And like everyone, I think I thought I was normal. So I didn't know that I had any kind of issues, because just it was normal for me. They were my beliefs and my ideas about my body and myself.
Yeah.
But it was the whole experience, Alexandra, was really embarrassing. I felt a lot of shame. I felt a lot of like contracted energy around exploring this. So if someone wants to begin even exploring something to do with their sexuality, is there anything you recommend for them of how they can even start doing that if they have like a kind of heavy energy around it? Is there like a baby step you can take into it?
Yeah, so there is one thing called the mirror exercise that generally helps as well to start loving yourself first a little bit better. You can do it just eye gazing. There is a tantric practice which called eye gazing, which you could do with your partner. It means that you just sit in front of each other, look in each other's eyes, and connecting with your heart energy, and then try to synchronize your breathing. If you don't have a partner, you can just do it in front of a mirror, and then having an intention for your practice that, let's say you want to let go shame, or you want to let go your limitation. First, I always recommend write down the limitation. What is really holding you back? and then to reframe that limitation, saying by that I empower myself, I love myself, I'm enough, I'm very sexy, I'm empowered. So whatever you want to, empower yourself, and then do it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes is great start. It can come up a lot of emotional process. Some people, the first time when they do it, they cry, or they are very shameful. They are not able to look in the mirror in their own eyes. And the next step could be that you use the mirror exercise to actually look at your yoni and try to describe your yoni. How does it look like? How does it make you feel? What do you see down there? And maybe give it a name, like what is giving you the power to do, what do you love about? Because there is also a lot of shaming around genital areas. And a lot of women, they just using really bad language, negative self-talk when they talk about their yoni. So they don't think about it as a sacred place or sacred power source, but they just like, yeah, down there. And when it's come to masturbation as well, like a lot of the female, they feel that they don't want to masturbate because it's something that they should be doing with a partner, not by themselves. So I think for the first two, that really just to get started is really to get back into your body. Also great exercise, that the shaking, like I usually recommend to my clients, if I see that they are very disconnected from their body, that just every day do same, stand in front of a mirror, kind of admire your body, say 5-10 things about yourself that you love, and start shaking your whole entire body to raise up the energy. Because how the body works is actually stored in the cellular level a lot of traumas. So trauma can be that maybe you had a fight with your husband, or maybe you had a misagreement with your boss or your kids, or something didn't happen to like your expectation were, and you can swallow that. So usually people store the main 3 areas in the body is the jaw area, the throat, and then also the tummy. And as a female as well, that once you start to empower yourself through your yoni, your actual throat chakra as well start to open. Because if you think about it, like if you would cut here, the diagram look exactly the throat chakra, similar like our pussy. So that's why it's also very important then in Tantra to actually connect the two. So once you start empowering yourself through some movement, you can start also healing your voice. Because that's another problem as well, like with a lot of females, that they've been shushed when they were child. So as a woman, it was not welcome to speak up, to be loud, or to be expressive, or, being a good girl, you shouldn't talk up when the adults talking, or whatever programs you got as a child. So as well, that a lot of the women, they actually in the bedroom as well, they keep their voice like super low or close to nothing.
Yeah. So the voice, so like actually speaking up and speaking your truth, like owning the stuff you want to say.
Yeah, and also you can just do like the self expression. So you can try, like, when you are connected with your shaking, like try to make sound. Like it's kind of like a somatic experience to move through the body. And then as you release more and more stuck emotions and energy from your body, to try to vocalize like how it feels. So in the practical way, it would look like that you start shaking, and then you would like and start really to release like whatever is coming up for you. You can make it as loud. I usually really encourage women to step in their own power, and even if they want to scream, then scream, shout, release, like with hand movements, and to be like like really strongly, because then will help to really start awakening their body and also the voice.
And do they do this naked, or can they do it with their clothes on?
Yeah, both. I mean, Tantra says that the clothes is a boundary. So I would suggest if you want to do it to the tantric way, then probably do it naked. And anyway, to experience full body acceptance, it's much better if you see yourself naked, looking in the mirror, and empowering or admiring yourself, giving yourself beautiful things, like maybe 5 things you really love about yourself during when you do the practice.
So the women that you've worked with in the past, do you find, so they've had these like beliefs and shame and kind of conditioning and programming, and then there's like their ongoing relationship with their body, like being able to look at themselves in the mirror, like not even just their yoni, like their body itself, looking at their breasts, looking at their tummies. Like what kind of, do you come across that when you're working with people? Like, does that come up for them?
Not so much the body itself, more like to being able to open up and to being able to surrender. I find that a lot of the times that women want to control, like, control the experience, control how much pleasure they have, control how much they want to surrender to the man. And actually that causes, well, that they are experiencing less pleasure within their body. And it can be as well, like, of course, the lack of body acceptance. But usually the people who I already start to work with, they are, I think, done a lot of personal development. So I think sexuality is really the highest form of when everything shows up, there is nowhere to hide anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's really interesting concept actually, because the idea of you completely surrendering, the idea of you being, instead of being in your mind and in your thoughts, and actually surrendering to your body, is like a final frontier for a lot of people, right? It's like, because I remember when I first started doing hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and all these, I found that it was very centered on the mind. And I learned a lot of interesting techniques where they had you do things with your body, like move your eyes in certain directions, or move your hands across the center of your body to make changes to your neurology. But it was all quite mind-based, and I think the reason like I got involved so much in the body work and transforming the body is because for me, there was no other level, there's no higher level of kind of spirituality than actually surrendering and being connected to my body. It's not like you get really spiritual and you have this out of body experience. It's like almost connecting to the body makes me feel more open, more connected to consciousness. And that took me a really long time to get anywhere near that, because like you were saying, I was probably trying to control everything all the time.
Yeah.
Trying to control, even like controlling myself and even not having orgasms, because I probably would become so aware of myself, or, like that kind of surrender. Nobody taught that to me. Like I grew up trying to control everything.
Yeah. And sometimes also, there's a saying that who enjoy more the sex and wants more sex have the less power. So that's not a coincidence that sometimes women use sex as well to gain power over the relationship. So that as well, that you have to be very honest with yourself, that you are there for, because it's like a partnered game, or you are there because you want to get your own significance, or you want to gain power or love with that interaction. So that's also usually come up with women, that, for example, they use sex in order to get love or to get power over a man. So that could be also some ways to get more into out of the mind and back to the body.
Yeah. Like back to the pleasure, like doing it for pleasure, and being in touch with that and really allowing yourself. When I was posting about sugar stuff the other day, and I was watching the comments, reading the comments about women talking about craving and not trusting themselves, and just feeling like you know, I can't just eat one biscuit, I eat a packet of biscuits, or, you know, and I was thinking, this kind of behavior that women describe that they do around like food, and they say it's because they just find it so pleasurable and they just love it, you know, and it's just get cravings for it. I don't see that behavior I don't see these women behaving that way in other areas of their lives. Like, I don't see them. I mean, I'm sure there are some women who do, but I generally don't see women who have mad cravings for sex and mad cravings for, like, why do you think, if you've got a view on it, why women feel like that about food and they don't feel like that in other areas of their life or with other areas of pleasure?
I think sometimes also not knowing themselves as well, you know, that for a woman takes 40 minutes to actually reach deep orgasm. So deep orgasm, I mean like vagina orgasm, G-spot orgasm, or cervix orgasm, or even to have energetic orgasm. And most women, they really settle for clitoral orgasm. So they can use sugar as to meet their emotional needs as well, if they're not feeling, you know, sexually satisfied. And sometimes I think also that there is a huge issue with actually a lot of the couples, that maybe the man finished too fast and then the woman being left there, and because they don't voice it or they don't know how they can actually reach pleasure, then they would get into the emotional eating or to actually compensate with other things. So that's as well for me, that was a huge realization that actually the woman first needs to really learn how to get their pleasure and really to access all the 7 different types of orgasms that they can have. And then once they are able to really play with themselves as an instrument, they are able to show the partner as well that, look, this is what I would need. And then probably would be much better as well, and they would need to eat less sugar. Because I think orgasm is much better than chocolate. So maybe I'm the only one who doesn't like chocolate here. I prefer orgasm, but there is a famous sex therapist in the US. She say always that I don't do coffee, I do orgasm. And I love that saying. So
and I'm like not having any coffee over these few days of my fasting. Maybe I should just be having more orgasms. But
exactly.
It's really interesting because like what you're describing is what you're describing when you talk about like a clitoral orgasm and then another kind of like a deeper orgasm is like kind of different layers of pleasure and different, and it's like when you eat something and it's a quick fix and it's like it seems pleasurable, or you have the coffee or whatever it is, and then there's that other, you know, that deeper level of pleasure seems to be, it doesn't seem to have had much priority in our cultures and our societies. It's like we seem to have trained ourselves to go for the quick fix. We seem to have trained ourselves to go for the instant. And I think with my limited knowledge of Tantra, it's like, is that a practice that can help someone connect more deeply with, I don't want to say patience. We were joking about patience when the live stream was like taking a while. but does it help them develop a kind of appreciation for waiting, an appreciation for the build up, for the, okay, the process itself being enjoyable, you know, the build up, enjoying the actual process rather than just getting like the goal of the climax.
You just said it actually, because that's the whole point, that once you start doing tantric practices, you need to understand that to get out of your head the goal orientation of okay, sex equals orgasm or ejaculation. So the sex should be about all, like being with your partner, flirting, the foreplay, being in the present, giving massage. Actually, massage is a really great way to get into the mood and then also to prolong the whole process. And also for meditation, like I generally recommend people when they get started with Tantra that start meditating, because when you meditate as well, like you breathing a lot and you really have to be present for yourself. And if you are not present, there is no magic pill that you can do. So with the whole point of in Tantra is really to be present and not to be rushed. And of course, as you said, tantric practice, they takes time. So for example, like I was doing last year a 5 months cleaning, where I was cleaning all my organs with special rituals, and I was in celibat, and I was not having sex, only solo sex and massage with people, but I was not having in a normal way of penetrative sex, because I wanted to make sure that I'm very clean in the energetic, the emotional, and all the levels. And sometimes also, as you said, that people don't want to understand that in order to reach energetic orgasm, you need to clean yourself first. It's the same like with the body. You cannot probably drop 100 pounds if you're full of toxins, right? Mm-hmm. So exactly the same with Tantra. It's unfortunately there is no quick fix. You have to be really patient, and the patience comes with practice and the also self-awareness that when I was doing the 5 months solo pleasure with myself, like I had a diary on side and I wrote it down every single day. So the practice generally looks like I teach conscious masturbation for people, which means that it's combining the breath, sound, and movement. And basically I just did a YouTube video on tantric pleasure, how to masturbate in a tantric way. So that will explain a little bit more about. If you want, I can share it in the group as well. And basically just to really be aware of yourself and have compassion for yourself. So if one day you feel that you don't really want to do this is boring, you feel like that you maybe your guilt is coming up that you should be doing with your partner, and this is something, you know, shameful to do it by yourself, then just stick with the practice and write it down, all the feelings, because the more you do it, the less they're going to come up for you.
Okay. Yeah. I love the self-awareness, the compassion, and just really focusing on your needs, like being aware of your needs and over the end goal. It's like the actual need, the need of the time that it takes to get to know your body better, or and you get the reward for it, right? Like you do once you get that connection. I'm just going to have a look because I can't see any comments on my computer. I'm going to see if there's any questions. Does anyone have a question for either Alexandra or for me? I can't see anything here. So if anyone wants to ask a question, if they're catching it on replay and you have a burning question, like don't be shy. Don't be shy. Like we come out and ask your question about whether it's a basic question, whether you already know something about these practices and you want to get more advanced. Like a little bit about, you know, my introduction into hypnosis was off the back of the fact that I went to see a sex therapist when I was like in my early 20s. Like the whole experience, and I'm sure she was a really nice therapist, but I didn't enjoy the experience at all, and I didn't like the way that I really had to face up some of my own beliefs and ideas about my body, my sexuality. Like I just had no connection. I didn't really, and I thought I did. Like I thought I was very sexual because I was very externally sexual and sexy, and I enjoyed having sex. But I had never really built a connection to myself. I couldn't describe to you what the inside of my pussy looked like, or even probably not even really much on the outside. Like I knew how it worked, but I didn't spend any time. And my self-pleasure was very fast. It was very, I could orgasm very fast, but it wasn't like a proper.
Just a peak orgasm usually. You know?
Yeah, like it just kind of, it's almost, there's a build up and then it just passes. And
Yeah.
And that, you know, that went on. There was like years of my life where I felt that I felt that there was probably something missing, like my gut or my intuition kind of made me, I felt that there was something missing, and I could never really experience that really deep orgasm, even by myself. And so this became an issue for me. I remember my ex-husband actually brought it up when he left as a, you know, as an issue, and he'd never spoken about it before. We'd never openly talked about stuff like that before. And so I didn't know what to do at that point, and I didn't really know where to go. And I found this company that was offering these downloads for hypnosis, these audios, and I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose, and it wasn't a big investment, like it was a few pounds, and they had this sexual, I can't remember what it was called, but it had the goal of helping women achieve either orgasm if they hadn't achieved it, or better orgasm if they had. And I thought, well, I'll just listen to this, because why not? And I listened to it a few times a week, and I, you know, didn't really notice many changes. And I would say probably about 2 or 3 months after I got that download, I started having just what I would describe as just like mind-blowingly intense, and like orgasms that felt like they weren't going to end, like orgasms where you're just like, they're still going on. And even at that point, you're so in the moment and surrendered, you can occasionally have a thought of like, is this going to ever stop? It's just really like, and powerful. And I realized like what I was experiencing before was like nothing compared to that. But there was nothing to compare it to, you know, like there was no one was talking about this. Well, I'm sure there were people talking about it, but at that time, you know, 20 years ago, no one was talking about that to me. And I just feel so grateful, and that started me off on my journey really with hypnosis, because it was like, wow, if it can help me change something so powerful and so fundamental about myself like that, you know, what else can it do? And that started off my whole journey. But I just really, you know, encourage anyone that's watching this and listening to this right now to, you know, to go deeper, to do some more exploration work on your sexuality, because, you know, this is beyond the bedroom. This is beyond having the pleasure of the orgasm. This is really about your whole relationship with yourself, right? And your connection to your power. I think you said that, Alexandra. It's like a connection to the power, which is so important for women.
Yeah, pussy power.
Huh?
Your pussy power.
Pussy power.
No, it's so important as well, as you said, to manifest. But actually, one of the gateway as well, that to prolong the orgasm as well, and to experience the wave of orgasm that you described earlier, it's through the breath. So that's why also I thought that we're gonna do a little bit of a teaser of an orgasmic breathing, because that as well, like really, you know, when you are experiencing like for orgasm, you need to have like clenching and release, and it's like a muscle spasm, right, in the end. But many of the women, that when they start to feeling like, oh, I'm climbing up and almost I'm orgasmic, then what happens that they start to be like holding their breath instead of actually like deepening their breath. And that's why they even cannot reach, or maybe they reach, but that's like a tiny bit of orgasm compared to a tantric orgasm. So that's why also it's, yeah, the breathing is very important.
Okay, can you show us then something?
Yeah, it's very simple. So you can, maybe I was bringing like a small demo. So if you want to do it, Sarah, that would be, I think, awesome. So I would like you to close your eyes. And with Tantra, like I would like you to breathe in through your mouth and then breathe out through the mouth, and let the air come off all the way. So filling up your throat, filling up your chest, all the way down to the tummy. And when you breathe in, I want you to little bit fill up your tummy. And then when you breathe out, you just squeeze the tummy towards your spine. So it's like the yogic breathing. And you just continue this breathing, setting an intention for yourself, for your practice. What do you like to experience right now? Is it pleasure? Is it love? Is it satisfaction? Is it being orgasmic? So whatever comes up for you, just let your body feeling good about that. And when you sip in, you can just imagine that you sipping in through like a straw, the air, making a sound for like a shh, pulling in the air. And then when you pull in the air, I want you to visualize a beautiful white light coming through your mouth and then traveling down all the way down, first reaching the throat and then the chest, washing your breast, washing your tummy, going all the way down to your genitals, your pussy, and then traveling back through the spine, going all the way up to the head chakra, to the crown chakra. And then as you exhale, you can let go any of the emotions, anything that doesn't serve you anymore. And then you can make it a little bit deeper, the breath. So sip in, fill up all the body, feel that this orgasmic breath coming on you. If, of course, you are at home or if you feel comfortable, you can start touching your body as well while you visualize that white light traveling down into your body, healing your whole body, and traveling all the way from the front up to the spine, back to your head. And now you are just being in the present moment with your breath. And then now I want you to squeeze your PC muscles a little bit, and you can rock a little bit your pelvic area. As you breathe in, you release the PC muscles, and as you breathe out, you squeeze them a little bit. And just continue with this nice deep breath to filling up your body, feeling tingling all over the body, feeling that your arousal is coming, your pleasure. You're feeling more connecting with your own body. If you feel that you can put your hands on the side and then just back a little bit the shoulders, opening up your chest, feeling that heart energy, feeling the love for yourself, and just deepening the breath. So remember to visualize like a white or gold light washing through your body as you're breathing in. You can make some sound for it, whatever you feel comfortable, or if there is no sound, that's totally okay as well. Just try to go with the breath to carry you to feeling in the body. And now I want you to take another 3 breaths within. So take a deep breath in, let the breath go all the way down to your genital area. And then traveling up back to the spine through the crown chakra. And then feeling, releasing everything that doesn't serve you anymore. 2 more deep breaths from this. And try to make some sound for it, whatever it feels right for your body. To really release And then just the last one, feeling into the body. And now I want you to put the left hand onto your heart and then the right hand over your pussy. And just feel into the intention, what's coming up for you right now. How do you feel? What's your body needs? And then you can just breathe out through your pussy, like whatever it doesn't need anymore, whatever energy you want to release from there, whatever needs to be healed. You can just give a deeper breath, like 3 conscious breath to your focusing into your pussy, sending some love to that area, feeling aware, feeling love, feeling that the vibrations start to raise in that area, and feeling the love for your genitals, for yourself, and slowly coming back and thanking for your body, thanking for yourself to be aware and to be in this moment with your breath. And just when you're ready, you can let go and then just slowly put together the hands a little bit, make some heat, and you can place it over your face. And then slowly opening up your eyes, feeling your body. How do you feel?
I feel really grounded.
Hmm.
I feel like for most of the time when I was breathing, it was only going like between just below, like it's not on camera, but it was just
Yeah.
going like to my tummy. It felt like between my tummy and my head.
Mm-hmm.
It took quite a long time to, and then it felt like it was going down to my pussy.
Yeah.
But it took quite a long time. Like for quite a long time, I was just feeling like a loop between my tummy and my head, and my tummy and my head, and then but it moved down.
Mm-hmm.
And when it moved down, it was like a feeling of being grounded,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very warm, and yeah, that was a really good experience. Thank you. It was
My pleasure.
a while to get out of my head a little bit, I think, on camera, but I did.
Performing it on camera for the orgasmic breath, like
I was like, yeah, they're gonna be listening to Sarah breathing. I was like, oh no, just go with it. So yeah.
yeah.
I think sometimes even like if I'm with a man, I tend to surrender easier in a way because I feel like a connection.
Yeah.
And on my own, which is strange because it should be really I should be most connected with myself. On my own, it's harder. It's harder work for me to get the kind of to get the kind of surrender that I feel when I'm with someone else.
Yeah.
That's something that I know that personally I need to work on.
Yeah, I think also for you, there would be great exercise to really do the self-pleasure ritual to connect with the breath and then the sound and the movement. I can send you also a couple of videos and advice afterwards because it's many women experience that actually because it's also like a social conditioning that you've been trained that you kind of have to serve the men, you know, in order to feel good. And then it's like you feel more like something coming up, or, oh, I'm not so important, or I have other things to do that is more important than me. So actually, I really encourage you to prioritize yourself because it takes time as well, like to really deepen your practice. But once you really deepen your practice, like my experience after the 5 months, actually, now that I just did an energetic orgasm demo on camera in my own group, and first I was like, okay, that's like really really crazy. But then I was like, I just want to show the possibilities, you know, what's possible after several months of training and putting really the time and effort into your practice. So I really, really encourage you to stay with it. And even if you feel that today I don't want to do it, or I have other things to take care, but you really should be your number one priorities, because if your cup is not full, you cannot really give to others. So it's same with the pleasure, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So, if people want to get some more help on this and get more connected, like I definitely feel that this will help them with the work that they're doing on their bodies, on the work that they're doing with fat burning. You know, I often talk to my clients about most people are surprised to learn that when you're burning through fat, when your body is in that fat burning mode, it has a kind of vibration to it, it has a kind of energy to it. And I'm really tuned into that now. Like I can feel when my body's going into it. And the way that the body expels fat comes out through the breath.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the body only has certain ways of expelling things. It's either in the breath, in the sweat, or in the urine. And burnt fat in the body comes out through our breath. So if we have like tension, we're holding our breath, we're shallow breathing, we're just making it harder for the energy that has to move through, you know, even just the biological chemical process for it to come through, you know. So I'm not saying that you just need to breathe to burn more fat, but if you have an intention to burn fat and to like make some changes to the composition of your body, breath work is a huge part of it. Breath work really helps. Even like you were talking about the yogi breathing, and you know, there's lots of research on that, really speeding up your metabolism and using like the fire breath and connecting. So I'm a huge fan of breath work. But in your work, Alexandra, like what can people do if they want to get a bit deeper and use this as to help them with other areas of their life?
Yeah, so I'm on the 18th of August, I'm going to run also a workshop about going more in depth as well, like the orgasmic breathing, because I find that that's so important for women as well to understand their body and to clear really the energetic blocks around like why they don't allow the breath to be cleared. And also I just run like a 5-day self-pleasure. It's a free course within my group. And we talked about all the myths, like how to embrace your sexuality, how to surrender the sexuality, and then also what type of pleasures you can experience. So it's a little bit an educational and a little bit also experimental. So they can come and have a look of those things. And if they have questions, that I'm also available. I'm offering free consultations for people about if they have specific issue. And then we can work a little bit deeper, because as I said, I really experienced that everyone is so different. So without knowing their sexual history, their limiting belief, or really like what is going on with their life, it's pretty hard to say something very, you know, tailor-made to like, okay, this is what you need to do, because we are all so different. So I that's why also I really prefer to talk to someone before I say, okay, we are able to work together, or you maybe need to. And sometimes I do say to people that maybe Tantra is not your way of healing, that maybe you need to see a psychologist, or maybe you need to go through first like healing other things in your life before you can access to Tantra. Because actually Tantra as well can trigger a lot of trauma. So if you're still holding on to a lot of past trauma and issue, then it can go also bad. And just referring as well to your stuck energy, like there's one thing also that I'm available as well, like in Budapest at the moment, but I frequently travel to the UK as well, and I do body de-armoring, which is basically like a trigger point massage with energetic alignment and breath work. And it really helps because many women actually cannot circulate their sexual energy. So for women, most of the time you feel the energy within your heart. So you want to feel love and you want to expand that energy. But actually that once you start to pushing it down into like the genital area, you kind of feel stuck. So what you described, that's pretty normal for women when they first start to experience, but it can be as well that sometimes they hold fear or phobia about, and which is just below like the breast. There is like a trigger point that can cause a lot of the stuckness, or like old family issues as well, which is just above the belly. So that's why also like I really like to do a holistic way of like working with the mind, the body, and then do really like release techniques with like emotional release therapy as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to do something with you once we can meet up again.
Yeah, hopefully September or October, hopefully.
Finally, just before we finish here, Alexandra, why did you buy the bundle, and what are you hoping to gain from your bundle? Tell me.
Yeah, so previously I was always very athletic, and recently I've been doing more subtle workouts, so not so much sport, but more like yoga, dancing, and I kind of felt like I was putting on some weight. Maybe I have plus 5 kilo extra. And I really like the way that you phrase it, like we can rewire our brain to start burning the fat. So for me, it was really the way that it's intrigued me, like maybe listening hypnosis and then tapping into my fat burning as well. I would say that I slowly as well like embrace my curves, but then of course I want to look more like lean.
Okay.
So I think definitely the body fat burning without exercise or without specific diet and using our brain power was definitely a catchy one for me to get me on.
Yeah, awesome. And you're a hypnotherapist as well, right?
Yes.
You get
Yes.
this stuff. You get this stuff. Okay, so thank you so much for being my guest and coming in here.
Thank
I
you,
think
Rosie.
it's such a great topic. Like I could just ask you so many things, and I would end up just having my personal coaching session from you. But I really love it. So really encourage anyone watching this, dive in and do this work. And Alexandra, if how is best for them to contact you and get into to talk to you, or to get into the challenge that you mentioned that you had?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, which is www.alexandra.guru, or they can reach me through Facebook, either through my Alexandra Guru page, or I run also a free group, which is the Sexy Liberation. But if you like, I can just link below.
Should we put a link here afterwards?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's probably the easiest. So we can link the Facebook, and then once people join in, it's within the Facebook group as well, the 5-day free challenge on self-pleasure in the units, so they can do that. And then if they're interested to do more for maybe a workshop with me or work personally, then I take on as well like selective clients for one-on-one coaching. At the moment, I do most of my work online, unless you happy to come to Hungary, then could be an offline as well. But generally also that when it's no COVID, I travel to the UK, to London, and to Ireland, to Dublin as well to do treatments in person.
Yeah, I love it. So I think, my main takeaway, you were talking about orgasm being better than chocolate, and I think that's like my main takeaway. I think the next time anyone here is getting just feeling hungry, craving something, you know, maybe they need to go and tap into, maybe that's not the pleasure that their body is looking for.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think having a couple of orgasms will definitely keep away your sweet tooth.
I love it. Thank you so much, darling.
Thank you also, Sarah, and thanks for watching as well. If you have any question, feel free to drop me questions or below the interview, and then I'm happy to answer them. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you, darling. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.